Have you ever wondered why both inflation and unemployment can rise at the same time, creating a paradoxical situation in the economy? Welcome, my friends, to the enigmatic world of stagflation, a term that's as mystifying as the economic phenomenon it represents. Picture this: you're in a boat with two holes. One hole is inflation, the other is unemployment. Now, the traditional life raft of economic theory tells us that if one hole gets bigger, the other should shrink. But what happens when both holes start widening? This is stagflation, the unusual and frankly unsettling situation where an economy experiences high inflation and high unemployment simultaneously. It's like a riddle, wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma, defying the norms and leaving economists scratching their heads. It's a paradox that's as intriguing as it is troubling. Understanding this paradox requires digging deeper into the causes and effects of stagflation. Let's embark on that journey, shall we? Stagflation doesn't just happen. There are specific factors that lead to this economic conundrum. Now let's delve into the primary causes of stagflation: supply shock, demand pull inflation, and cost push inflation. First off, let's talk about supply shock. This occurs when something sudden and unexpected happens that dramatically decreases the supply of a commodity. Imagine a severe drought wiping out a country's wheat crop. This would result in a significant drop in the supply of wheat, causing the prices to skyrocket. In turn, this leads to inflation, and if the shock is severe enough, it can also lead to an increase in unemployment, as industries that rely on the commodity struggle to cope with the increased cost. This, my friends, is how a supply shock can trigger stagflation. Next, we have demand pull inflation. This happens when demand for goods and services outpaces supply, when everyone wants the latest gadget, but there just aren't enough to go around. The prices go up. If this happens across the economy, it can lead to inflation. Now, you may be wondering how this can cause unemployment. Well, if prices become too high and people can no longer afford to buy, businesses may have to cut back on production, leading to job losses. Finally, we have cost push inflation. This is when the cost of producing goods or services increases, causing producers to raise their prices to maintain their profit margins. This could be due to rising wages, increased raw material costs, or higher taxes. If these costs become too high, businesses may have to lay off workers or even shut down, leading to increased unemployment. In a nutshell, stagflation is a complex beast, born out of the interplay between supply and demand, costs and prices. It's the result of a perfect storm of economic factors that can lead to a simultaneous rise in inflation and unemployment. These elements, working in tandem, can create the perfect storm for stagflation. Stagflation isn't just a theoretical concept, it has real, tangible effects on an economy and its people. Let's delve into this. Stagflation, an economic phenomenon marked by stagnation in economic growth and inflation, can be likened to a double-edged sword. On one side, you have slowed economic growth. On the other, you have rising prices. When an economy is hit by stagflation, its ripple effects are felt far and wide. Economic growth slows down, jobs become harder to find, and the overall economic activity takes a hit. This is not a situation anyone wants to find themselves in. Imagine being in a boat that's not only stuck in the middle of the sea, but is also slowly taking on water. That's what an economy undergoing stagflation feels like, but the fallout doesn't stop there. As inflation rises, the purchasing power of the currency decreases. This means your money buys less than it used to. A loaf of bread that cost $1 yesterday might cost $1.10 tomorrow. This might not seem like much, but when you extrapolate that to everything you buy, you'll quickly realize that your paycheck isn't stretching as far as it used to. In essence, the cost of living increases and life becomes more expensive. Now you may think, well, why don't the policymakers do something about it? And you'd be right to ask. But here's the thing. Stagflation poses a unique challenge to policymakers. You see, the usual tools they have at their disposal to stimulate the economy, like lowering interest rates or increasing government spending, can actually worsen inflation. On the other hand, measures to control inflation, such as raising interest rates or reducing spending, can slow economic growth even further. It's like being caught between a rock and a hard place. In conclusion, stagflation is an economic condition that no country wants to experience. Its effects are far-reaching and can significantly impact the lives of everyday people. The effects of stagflation can be far-reaching, impacting every corner of an economy and its citizens. Stagflation is a complex economic phenomenon that challenges traditional economic theories. It's a term that may seem intimidating, but it's essential to understand, particularly for those with a keen interest in the world's economic landscape. So let's take a moment to sum up what we've learned today. Stagflation, as we've discussed, is an economic state characterized by stagnant growth, high unemployment, and soaring inflation. It's a tricky situation that's akin to trying to navigate a ship in stormy waters without a compass. It is the economic equivalent of being stuck between a rock and a hard place. The causes of stagflation are multifaceted and can include supply shocks, such as a sudden increase in the price of oil or other commodities, which can drive up costs and slow economic growth. Moreover, it can also be fueled by demand-side factors, such as excessive growth in the money supply or overly aggressive fiscal policies. The effects of stagflation can be far-reaching and detrimental. High inflation erodes the purchasing power of consumers, making everyday goods and services more expensive. At the same time, stagnant economic growth and high unemployment can lead to decreased consumer confidence and spending, further exacerbating the economic downturn. But why is understanding stagflation so crucial? For individuals, it's about being informed and prepared. If we understand the signs of stagflation, we can adjust our financial plans accordingly, perhaps by saving more or diversifying our investments. For policymakers, understanding stagflation is even more critical. It's their responsibility to manage the economy, and they need to be able to recognize the signs of stagflation and take appropriate action to mitigate its effects. This could include implementing policies to control inflation, stimulate economic growth, or reduce unemployment. In conclusion, stagflation is a challenging economic phenomenon, one that defies traditional economic norms and theories. It's a complex issue with significant implications for individuals and the economy as a whole. By understanding stagflation, we're better equipped to navigate the economic landscape and make informed decisions.